Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 4 of the Point One podcast. As ever, you're joined with your two favourite hosts, Mr. Chris Carlos and my best friend, Mr. Brendan Lee. Brendan, what are we going to talk about today?
So guys, today we're going to talk about the grind and how you work towards things, accomplish goals, and some myths. We're going to bust some myths to do with the grind that self-help has perpetuated. And then I'm going to hand back over to Chris here, and he's going to introduce that.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with busting the myths. My favourite mythical grind, get your grind on videos, that I think if you go on YouTube and watch it, it's called The Grind. It's this alarm clock and it's like 6 a.m. in the morning. The day hasn't stopped yet, but your legs are tired from yesterday, but you have to get up, you have to work, don't get washed away by the river. Like, what a load of fucking shit. Like, obviously, that sort of thing, I do like a good motivational video, but this nonsense that's being perpetuated at the minute with all these YouTube motivational channels is absolute delinquency. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. So what exactly about that video really gets to you? Like, what is it in it?
Because it's, these videos are targeting, the whole point that we set out with this podcast was we want to give people practical advice that's going to take you from great to phenomenal to the 0.1%. And these videos are targeting really weak-minded people who want this hit of cocaine and do nothing with it. So they watch this 4-minute video, they get up, they do 5 reps, and then they go back to play on their PlayStation, or they get up and they feverishly clean their room for 10 minutes for their little serotonin hit that they've had from this video, then they go back and clean their room. For anybody in business, people that are pushing on, doing things, these videos, apart from maybe get out of bed in the morning, I really don't think they're much value at all.
I really think that is a good point. Consistency is key to the grind, to accomplishing anything. It's showing up day in, day out, and making things happen.
Yeah.
I think almost any successful person will tell you that there'll be days you don't feel like it, but you have to get up and you have to put in the effort, and it has to be continual hard work. It can't just be doing, as you said, like 5 push-ups. It's got to be every day you're getting up and you're giving it the same intensity and the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are days, I think it's important though, not being totally dismissive of it, there are days where it is important to ride the wave. You get up, you do feel more pumped up, you feel, I'm going to get it done. And those are the days where you tend to get it more done. But what sets the 0.1% aside from top 10% is, are you getting it done on the bad days as well? Are you getting it done on the days where, it's wet, you're driving home from work, you're like, oh, could I be asked going to the gym? And you just say, you know what, I'm going to get there, I'm going to start doing a few reps, see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, the gym's a good analogy. If you go to the gym, there's going to be some days you're setting personal best, and there's going to be some days you do not feel like going to the gym. There's some days the idea of squatting is not going to be all that attractive, but you have to make yourself go there and put in that intense workout, because in order for you to hit that personal best on a good day, you've got to have had those bad days where you put in the work regardless.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, people say that, 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. I don't really believe that. I think for your day in, day out work, maybe that is true. But when you're really hitting those high levels, be it in business, be it in socializing, be it in whatever, it's consistent, small, chugging along. And it's bringing consistent results, regardless if they're phenomenal or world-changing results that gives you more results. Once somebody finds that you're reliable for doing something in work or doing something in the gym, or they know that even if you are just doing tiny things, when they start seeing that you're building a momentum train rather than these little blips of brilliance, then that's what really, I think, contributes to your continued growth and development.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying though, this idea of riding the wave, there is sometimes where a bit like a HIIT workout, like a high intensity workout, you will find that you're able to accomplish a lot in a small period of time, instead of riding the wave and getting a lot done in that small period of time. So you might be able to get, on a good day, 80% of your work done with 20%.
Yeah.
But most of the time, that's not going to be the case. Most of the time, it is going to be that grind.
We were talking about Serendipity as well today.
Yeah.
And a few things that have happened over the last week or two. But what I've noticed more that things that have worked out for me in business, for people who are really at the top of the game, that I've heard a lot of people say is, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've really noticed that over the last 6 months or a year where things have getting pretty hot at the top,
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you're taking those small, consistent actions over and over again. Sometimes things just turn up that otherwise wouldn't have turned up. An example that I was telling Brendan about today, in work, we're waiting for this project to come through. And I was told that it was, 3 days. So 2 days ago, I was told that it was going to happen in 3 days' time. And last night I was packed up. It was really, really late. But I decided just to check the emails one more time to make sure everything was in place for this thing that was meant to happen tomorrow. And when I checked my emails and checked the Google Calendar, I realised that the thing was to happen today. So, I got it done, everything worked out, but if it hadn't happened today, then there would have been a lot of people looking at you saying, what went wrong there, even though I was told that it was to be happening tomorrow, but it was just by the very virtue that I was, don't put off things tomorrow that you can do today or tonight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the ethic came through and really saved my ass and a few other people's asses. So, it's just small examples like that when you get into the habit of doing things, and it really is habit rather than grind. Grind to me has become a bit of a cliche now, I think. What do you think about it?
Yeah, there's definitely the power of habit. I mean, a lot of successful people, you'll hear them talk about the power of habit and what it means. Like almost anybody identifies that you need to do something religiously. So at the start, it'll probably be quite difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, acquiring any new habit is. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to start going to the gym, that's probably going to be a difficult habit for a while. You might have the obstacle of saying, oh, well, I'm just out of work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too tired. I'm this or I'm that. But if you start going consistently, then it becomes part of your ritual and
Mm-hmm.
you don't even think about it. It's not a conscious effort anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's become this thing you just do.
Yeah.
When things become easy, it's because they're part of a habit.
Mm-hmm.
So then forming new habits is always going to be the tricky part, but that is where this idea of the grind comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to force through that initial difficult stage where things are a bit harder.
Yeah.
But eventually things do get not easy, maybe, because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be things. But when you acquire that new habit, you'll see the fruits.
Yeah. I think it's important that, the hard things to do never become easy, as you say.
Yeah.
Going to the gym, you do get a bit of a buzz out of it, but it doesn't suddenly become, for me anyway, if you've got a full-time job, you've other things going on, it doesn't suddenly become, like, oh yes, this is so good, I'm going to the gym and it's so easy. The habit's there that you go, and some days you do enjoy it and you have a really good session, some days you just struggle through it.
Yeah.
But it's always the easy road is always there to turn around and say, no, I'm going to lie down, I'm going to go to bed early, I'm going to do this, that or the other.
Yeah, because it's all well and good also when going back to this idea of like YouTube motivational videos where these guys who their entire life is they're maybe like a bodybuilder or something and doing motivational videos.
Yeah.
Their job is to be in good shape.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no excuses for not going to the gym. And it's like, yeah, there isn't an excuse, but at the same time, exactly. So, I mean, if you do have a full-time job, it is going to be harder, but it is one of those things you have to make time for because keeping a healthy body definitely is a cliche, but it definitely impacts, gives you a healthy mind too.
Healthy mind, yeah. So, if you were to summarise what the key points that we're trying to drill home today, Brendan, what would your 5 points that typically become about 2 when I do it, what would they be?
Well, because you put me on the spot, thank you. No, I think the main one is like there's a lot of rubbish out there.
Yeah.
So listen to the Point One podcast because it's a quality source for this information.
Yeah.
So number 2 would obviously be that you've got to acquire these habits. You've got to put in the work consistently every day.
Yeah.
And I think really that is it. There is about 2 solid points from this whole thing. It is that this idea of consistent habits every day, doing the same things.
Yeah.
And it's those small little things that you mentioned. And going back to that idea of like these small little things and then serendipitous things happen, I think that at definitely a really good point because I think like people say, oh, you get lucky
Mm-hmm.
the better you are. It's not that you're getting luckier the better you are. It's because good things start to happen. It's that like law of attraction thing. The harder you're working, the more things are more likely to happen for you.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I
Anything you want to
don't
add,
think I've
Chris?
got anything to add. Really, apart from that, as we said, the motivational spikes have their place, but they're not really not what current self-help makes them out to be. What will get you to that, CEO job, the top to the top of the top is small, consistent action, grind it out and out and out and out and out. And 99% of people can't do that. People change, people go off cigarettes for a week. People say they're going to stop drinking for a couple of days. Say they're going to do an exam, say they're going to work, and the last few days, people, all respect to people who manage to do 30-day challenges, 60-day challenges, 100-day challenges, because, you're in the absolute minority, and sometimes you do have to take a step back and look at how far you've come. I think as high achievers, it's easy to say, I haven't done this, haven't made it there, but, look at what you've achieved so far and know that there's more to go, and there's more to go with just small, consistent action.
And I think if you do ever a challenge like that, like whatever it be for, when you look back at where you started and where you came to, it's amazing. That's actually a really good tip. I like we've actually mentioned him a lot in this show, giving him lots of plugs. Tim Ferriss, really good podcast, a lot of good books as well. But he mentions that too, that idea of like consistency, every day, and just putting in those little bits of work. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really think there's much to add to this.
No, I think that's it. As always, guys, any questions, anything you want clarified, anything you want us to delve a bit deeper in, please hit us up. Our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter are all available for you, and we'd be more than happy to take your comments. So for another week, guys, thanks very much. We appreciate you putting your time into our podcast, and we'll see you again next week from your hosts, Mr. Chris Carlos and Mr. Brandon Lee. See you soon.
See you soon, guys.